Life Audio.
It's me, God's comic Brad Stine, and this is, in fact, Brad Stine has issues where comedy, conservatism, and Christianity collide in a cacophony of clarity. Today, we have a very special guest, an old friend and somebody who you never know what she is going to say. Trust me. The former SNL star or co-star Victoria Jackson is with us tonight. She will be talking about her life, her career, which, by the way, is much more outstanding and unique and fascinating and eclectic than most people would ever give her credit for. Trust me when I say she's done amazing things. And you'd never tell by talking to her. I am Brad Stine, or as the New Yorker called me in 2004, God's comic. It's not a title I would have ever given myself because I feel like it's too much pressure. Back in the day, if you didn't make the king laugh, he'd just have your head cut off. So if you're not making God laugh, I don't know what the penalty might be. Speaking of penalties, my sidekick, my producer, my director, my son, the one that I created from whole cloth, Wyatt Stine, is with us tonight. You will not see him, but you will hear from him if you're brand new. He sounds like this.
Hola.
See, he's also Hispanic. I should have mentioned that. He was born in Mexico. We did it backwards. We took him to Mexico to try to get him citizenship there. Come to find out, it doesn't work like that. Only in the U.S. can you just get somebody born and you're a citizen, and then you get to make as much money as you want based on going on welfare. Why are you on welfare?
No, es muy estúpido.
Okay, so as you can see, not only does he speak Spanish, but he speaks it pathetically, or as they say.
That's my secret.
Well, how do they say pathetically in Spanish? One.
Pathetico?
Probably.
You know it more than I do.
Pathetico.
Yeah, it could be that too, but who knows?
No one knows except Mexican people, because they speak Spanish, and they speak it fluently, I might add. Some people in this day and age of wokeism are given special help and attention because they are privileged, but they consider themselves to be victims. As a matter of fact, I did a little rant about fairness or lack thereof not that long ago. I thought, why don't we show a clip of that so people can see my take on fairness, and is it applied from progressives to conservatives? Or is that just an illusion they create to make them feel?
Feel what?
Here. Well, you can always examine the illegitimacy of a movement is to be especially attentive to if it is equally fair to its rivals, or is it completely committed to its own agenda without concern for opposing ideas. If it's laser focused on its own perspective and literally ignores or unwilling to adjust when exposed for its intolerance, then you've got a perfect example of an ideology who claims to be driven by fairness, but is fundamentally unfair. Let me give you another example of this technique in the extreme women's movement. Abortion. All right. There are women who actually believe and argue that if you are a man, you don't even get to have an opinion on abortion because you don't have a womb. Forget for the moment that no woman has ever gotten pregnant without a man. Well, except Mary, but that proves my point. If a woman can get pregnant without a man, God literally has to intervene. And every baby in human history has been exactly half of a man's DNA. But if only a woman having a uterus is an excuse to claim that when it comes to abortion, those without one cannot have an opinion, then why would it not also be true for men and their unique biology? I mean, we're designed with much higher doses of testosterone and programmed to be sexually stimulated by the sight of a woman's body, whereas women are not. I'm not saying women can't be sexually attracted to a man through sight, but not nearly as intensely as a man. Unlike a woman, a man can be interested and physically able to have sex with a woman he doesn't even know that he just noticed 3 seconds prior. Thus, when we're desiring you with simply a glance, you have no right to comment on that or to lust shame us. Since you're not a man, thus you can't understand our plight. But because the West was built on the Judeo-Christian concept that the sexual union is actually holy, then it's reserved for a man and a woman that promise their fidelity to each other for the rest of their life. You think having sex with as many people as possible is fulfilling and makes you something to be proud of? I don't know. How'd that work out for Jeffrey Epstein? The person that I'm about to bring up is an old friend. She's so interesting. Why do you think Victoria's interesting?
Oh, yeah. That's definitely putting it lightly, yeah.
She's just an intriguing woman. But the things she's done, the shows she's been on, the movies she's been on, the actors she's acted with, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I just love having her on because you don't know what she's going to say, what she's going to do. But I really have always tried to find other pieces and angles to people that not everybody else does. If you bring on somebody, especially a celebrity, they've been asked the same questions over and over again. I've always tried to find other angles, something else that might dig into something about who they are and expose them to you in a way that you've never seen before. So you probably have seen Victoria Jackson on other interview channels, on other podcasts, on television, on SNL if you're old enough, on movies. But she's a fascinating woman, and I'm glad she's my friend. And she's intriguing, and she keeps me on my toes. And so I can't wait for you guys to get a load of what we had to talk about. I think you'll find it fascinating, and I think that you'll find it insightful and inspirational, and maybe, just maybe, you'll end up with something about her you never knew before. And I hope it inspires you in your life. So, without further ado, please welcome God's comic Brad Stine as he interviews former SNL star, movie star, and quirky, idiosyncratic, crazy lady who I love to talk to. She's my buddy. Please welcome Victoria Jackson. She's an oddball, and yes, you are, and I love that about you.
Because I'm putting my fingernails
No, that's what I love about you. You put your fingernails on during the live taping because that's what makes her Victoria Jackson. Welcome to Brad Stine.
Champion of truth and justice and Jesus.
Well, Jesus did that first, and then I just decided to follow in his footsteps the best I could. But I fall down.
Me too.
I'm a follower of Jesus, which means he's way up there, and I'm just trying to catch up.
That's a good metaphor.
And
not metaphor, illustration.
Yeah.
Visual.
So if it seems odd that she refuses to stare at me while speaking, you're going to have to draw conclusions. One, she's Amish. She's afraid that her soul's being sucked away from the camera. Mm. Two, that she is very, very introverted and just can't look people in the eye.
Or
three, she's agoraphobic and is just in deep anxiety. Or four,
she's a professional actress who knows her good and bad angles.
Yes, she knows her good and bad angles. And we're going to talk about all those angles today, young lady, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm thrilled because I love to talk.
Yes, you do.
And I love to talk about myself.
You do indeed.
Because no one at home listens to me talk about myself.
Well, then you can talk to yourself, though, about yourself. Have you ever discovered anything about yourself that shocked you?
No.
Never.
Well, when I had cancer, I realized that my faith in Jesus was real. Because
you realized it was real, or it became more tangible.
I always read the Bible, studied the Bible since I was born, 6 years old, got saved. But when I had cancer, it was like I felt Jesus standing next to me. When I said Psalm 23, it was real. It wasn't just a pretty chapter in the Bible. Going through a year of chemo and radiation and double mastectomy convinced me that my faith in Christ was real. Like I knew it was, but it was like it was put to the test. Just like when the Bible says the fire burns and the wood and the hay and the stubble get burned up, but the gold stays or whatever. Yeah. Well, this Jesus thing is real. Like, I'm not afraid to die. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. For me to live as Christ, to die as gain. Hey, my testimony is going to be way better now. Because I went through cancer. I mean, I was like happy. And
were you afraid?
Afraid of what?
dying, scared, pain,
No.
leaving this earth,
No.
going into the transcendent, wondering what heaven actually is. Is it really there, or was I wrong all this time?
No.
Am I going?
No.
So you never really doubted your faith. You
No.
just found that when it was put to the test, it became the words that you'd read, let's say Psalms 23, that we've all read as an encouragement, almost like a poem.
Mm-hmm.
But this time you're like saying, he's using these words for me. He's talking to me about this.
I was walking through the valley of the shadow of death with Jesus, and his rod and his staff were comforting me. It wasn't just a pretty poem. I was like, Lord, I'm too weak from this chemo to change the TV channel. Oh, how do you like that? Lord, I guess it's true. All I need is you. I don't even need to watch TV. I mean, it was like that.
But don't you think that really is what faith Christianity tries to teach us all along, is how simple life should be?
Oh, yeah. It's like trust in the Lord. Trust, Lord. Fear not. Trust
But
the
I
Lord.
mean,
Fear
stuff, careers, money, house, food, is more like, that's really not why I'm here, is to worry about all that stuff.
No, we do have to think about it, and
Okay.
and I do think the Lord likes us to enjoy it, because I just got an inheritance from my mom and my brother dying, and I'm like, what do I do with the money? Where do you want me to use it, Lord? So I had this, should I just give it all to Franklin Graham? Should I, leave it for my kids? It was like, so I've been thinking a lot about material things, but I got to tell you one more thing. When I had cancer, what was interesting, and I think a lot of women in my age will relate to, is my marriage was is more painful than cancer. When I had cancer, my husband would go with me to most of the, chemo things and everything. But I got to tell you that one reason I wasn't afraid, marital pain is, I think emotional and psychological pain, it's kind of worse. It's more confusing. It's invisible. Like, you can see cancer, at least on a screen. You can see the red stuff going, but you can't see someone psychologically abusing you. You can't. Been reading a lot of books on it lately. I think the spouse maybe doesn't even know what they're doing. So that's what I've been mostly struggling with. And I wrote, I get out my pain in songs and poems my whole life since I was whatever. I think because I was raised in the church, and I knew all the hymns. They all rhymed. Every second line rhymed, like, I serve a risen Savior, he's in the world today. I know that he is living, whatever men may say. I see his hand of mercy, I hear his voice of cheer. And just the time I need him, he's always near. All my poems sound like that.
Right.
I went, oh, I know why. Because 3 days a week I was in church. Latest artistic endeavor. My brother, who was an architect, he said that if you say you're an artist, you're not. Now, it's a new buzzword, is art. I'm a storyteller. I'm an artist. My brother said, artists don't say they're artists. And I just love that. I bet Van Gogh never said, hi, I'm Van Gogh, I'm an artist.
Yeah, I think so. I had a couple ideas about that I've thought about over the years. One was, I wonder if people who are super gifted know it, because it's natural to them. I don't think Einstein said, equals MC squared, aren't I amazing?
No,
I think he said, why does nobody else see this? Because he didn't know how else to do it. This is what obviously makes sense. So if it's your gift, then you don't know that it is unusual, because it feels natural to you. Those of us who can get in front of a crowd and perform and not be terrified, and people respond to us, and we actually embrace it and find energy from the very thing that most frightens most people. That's a gift, because we're not sitting there going, yeah, I made that happen. You're like, I don't know, it's fun. I like to do this thing. I don't know why. The other thing I thought of, and I remember reading this, I always forget his name, and I really need to get this.
It might be a sickness.
It might be.
It might not be.
Well, listen.
It might be a desperate need for attention.
Have you known any artist that didn't struggle with anxiety and depression?
I think every human does.
Yeah. But the prophets, there seems to be a cost for being given greatness. There's something on the other side of that you have to navigate that's difficult. There's a darkness that you have to overcome. Remember, like you said, everybody has a pain, has a challenge, has a history that maybe was incredibly difficult for them that they endured. And all you can do is try to navigate it. But how do you do that? Well, some people go to drugs, and some go to sex, and some go to workaholic, and some go to art, and some go to art. Maybe I can do it like this.
I think everyone struggles with all of the same things.
How do you mean?
Not just great people.
What I mean is and I'm not a great person.
Like people could say Matthew Perry struggled with drugs because he was a successful actor and it was so hard to handle. There's also other people who aren't on TV who have the same addiction.
Yeah. They chose a different way to overcome the challenge.
Or stress. I got to tell you, those things do work, though. Those temporary, worldly, carnal things do help for a little while, I got to say.
Of course they work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a temptation.
Exactly. I just got a rod in my ankle. I got Oxy. I'm like,
so now you're an Oxy fan?
I said to the doctor, I don't like Oxy, but if you have to give it to me, I've had it once. My ankle, I landed on it. I like to tell people I was doing a triple flip off the high bar.
Yeah.
And forgot I was 64. I thought I was 18 for a minute and I had a bad landing. A lot of people believed that.
Oh, okay.
But I really slipped in wet grass and fell on my twisted ankle.
Twisted or broke it?
I broke the tibia and fibula, heard the crack. I heard 3 cracks. The doctor, he's so amazing, Dr. Strasser. He has like 7 kids, special needs adopted, biological. They don't wear white coats anymore. He has tattoos and Nikes on, and he lifts weights.
Is he an orthopedic surgeon? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And he put a rod.
He's
He's
a veterinarian. I just liked his tattoos.
He cut me open. He put a rod in there with screws. Yeah, I'm walking. But then it makes you put more weight on the good hip, which makes the good hip go out. That's why I can't get divorced, because what do I have to offer a new man? I have to offer him no boobs, dying soon, broken ankle, limp, cough that won't go away from COVID, and a sparkling personality. Any takers? Okay, so
right.
Back to my thing. This is my newest artistic endeavor.
Okay.
Notice I did not say I'm an artist.
Yes.
I said it was an endeavor because you know what? Might not be good. Might not be good. But you know what's interesting?
No. That's why you're here.
I'll tell you what's interesting.
Yes, please.
When something is good, like Frank Sinatra music, everybody likes it. Rich people, poor people, dumb people, sick people, fat people, skinny people, all countries. How does everyone know when you're talking about greatness?
Yeah.
There is something about greatness. I mean, everyone's great because the Lord created us all individually, fantastically unique. However, like a great song, when you hear a great song and that song touches everybody, no matter who is singing it, no matter what generation, that greatness, that must be divine.
Well, you're tapping into something, though, that has been lost, and that is beauty, which in postmodernism has been destroyed. There is no such thing as beauty. There is no such thing as transcendent. The art initially was to draw us to God. Arts were designed to say there's something awe-inspiring. It's why I have such a problem. I hate the misuse of the word awe. It's this thing that all the Christian youth leaders start, oh, isn't that awesome? We're having pizza. It's like, no, it's not awesome. Awe should make you go, oh, I can't look. Awe should say it's the Sistine Chapel. Oh, it's the Pieta, not pizza. And it's this misuse of the sacred word. I'm a comic, so words matter to me. They should be used properly as tools and as weapons and as means of communicating. I think what you just said was, even if you're not trained in symphonies, you hear it and you go, oh.
Everyone can.
Because it's innate in our spirit. It's the way God designed us to have. Everything on this earth that touches us and draws us to something deeper is just a shadow of God saying, I can't show you who I really am, but here's a little taste. Here's a little taste.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about...
Sometimes in church, when they're singing, I feel, and I cry, because like we're all worshiping God, and it's like a little taste of heaven. I felt like that, like God saying, like, I can't show you the whole thing because you would pass out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm giving you a little taste of my glory.
Victoria, he said
like
in the Old Testament, he said, you can't look at me.
Right.
You can't. How about if I hide you and I'll give you a little bit of my back? It's like, what is this guy that can't even be observed without you being annihilated? That's something that we can't grasp. But he gives humans a task, and that is to participate on an earth that he created to shadow what it means in the heavenly realm, because it said on earth as it is in heaven. He made us in his image. He said, now take this amazing earth and run with it. Take it and subdue it. When he made Eden prior to the fall, he didn't set up a hammock and say, now lay there and eat the grapes. He said, get to work. This is before the fall. Go tend to the garden. You have things to do now. Actually, you're going to make more people, by the way. Did I mention that? You're going to procreate. You're going to create like me. I'll oversee it. But this is your land. This is your domain. And we gave it away. We gave it away because we followed the original religious cult, which is atheism, the belief that I actually am God and not the one that created us. But that's not what we're here to talk about, even though we might get back in there.
Atheism says there is no God, but Satan said to them, you can be equal with God,
right,
which is still a religion.
Well, I think what I'm referencing is when you make yourself God,
yeah.
That's what atheists do. Atheists are driven by two words, arrogance and anger, usually because of something that happened to them as a child that was painful. Hey, my mom has cancer, God, make it go away. She dies. Forget you, God. I think that's what happens for the most
My friend
part.
wrote a book and said,
Let's see it.
You got the wrong guy.
Yes.
Lisa Meister. It's like, don't be mad at God. Be mad at Satan that your mom got cancer and died.
Yeah.
You got the wrong guy you're mad at.
Nice. Well, listen, did you bring these to show these, or you want to give these away to folks?
I want to show you stuff.
Okay, that's all right.
Like, you got the wrong guy. Like, she was...
Can you get that on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a satanic ritual abuse survivor.
Really?
Lisa Meister. She's in my Bible study. And I said to her...
Because some of that you're thinking is conspiracy theory stuff.
Oh, you can go on YouTube and see... I've met people. You can see their testimony, of how God's healed them. Yeah, it's not a conspiracy. There's actually a thing called Satan, and he actually does have...
No, I know that. I didn't know how much the actual worship of him is.
I'm fascinated by it because it just makes me believe in God more.
Yeah.
Like the satanic rituals, they blaspheme God by doing what we do in church, but turning it to Satan. So if we're pro-life, they're pro-death.
Yeah.
And if we're, they do everything the opposite of God to spit in his face. But this is Only God Rescued Me. Lisa Meister, Meister. Yeah, so I just met her in my China Phillips Bible group, which I have to plug all these things because they're wonderful.
No,
they're
be my
in
guest.
my life. China Phillips is the daughter of Michelle Phillips and John Phillips, who are the Mamas and the Papas. Their album, The Best of the Mamas and the Papas, is fantastic.
Right.
The harmony and
where does she live?
Am I hitting you?
No, I was trying to so you didn't have to hold it. Where does she live?
She right now lives in L.A. She was in Santa Barbara. She was in New York. She's kind of a New York.
How are you in her Bible class?
Well, because I was flitting around YouTube, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
An addiction. And
an Oxycontin addiction? I mean, is it that kind of
it's probably healthier than Oxy.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask. I don't
know.
Who am I to
Oxy's pretty good.
So you did an online Bible study with her then?
No, what happened was I'm watching YouTube and I see China Phillips. She's in Wilson Phillips, the group. She has this California preaching instead of California dreaming.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, she's talking about Jesus. And I'm thinking, is she doctrinally correct? Is she putting New Age stuff out there? Because I'm very...
California too, right?
Yeah, she's in California. Her parents were hippies. Her dad was a heroin addict. Her mom lived with Warren Beatty and Jack Nicholson and everything. Anyway, so I'm watching her, and she was like telling the gospel correctly. Jesus died for our sins, was buried, and resurrected so that we're redeemed and we can live with God forever. John 3:16. She was telling it truthfully. She's never been to seminary. She's kind of, what does she call it? A sippy cup Christian. She doesn't know all the cliches yet, which makes it super charming.
Good. Don't use the cliches.
I
Don't
know.
speak churchianity.
Like I was talking.
Just learn the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sucked me in because she was telling the Bible, but not using all of the Christian cliches. So it was fresh and new to me because I've been a Christian so long. I was putting comments, preach it. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, you're spot on. So she responded. This was a couple years ago, and it's grown. She's almost 100,000 subscribers, but she started a side thing called California Healing. And if you pay $100 a month, which covers, I know people don't want to pay money for Bible study, but you don't have to.
You're right.
We meet on Zoom once a week. I'm the leader of one of the groups because it kept growing. So I'm in 2 a week, and every day we have a thread where we pray for each other all day and all night on WhatsApp. And then we have Bible reading on Monday too. I mean, it's changed my life because I always was going to get to reading the Bible that day, or I was going to join a women's group. And I don't like groups, but this, I'm doing it. I'm a leader in it, whatever. So I got to know all these women, and this is one lady's story of how God is healing her from that childhood trauma. Satan.
Well, listen, I love your passion. You have never shied away from your faith, and it has cost you immensely. But
not my life, like some countries.
Right.
I mean, I've lost jobs because I'm an outspoken Christian conservative, but there's other countries where their heads are being chopped off. For believing.
Well, and that might be next for us. I mean, that is not an anomaly. It is the history of the church is built on the blood of the martyrs, and none of us want to believe that. We want to read about it. We don't want to turn. Right now, there's such an anti-Christian hatred in the West that it will at least lead to potential prison. But now whether it will lead to executions remains to be seen. The stuff that has come out of America in the last number of years philosophically is so evil and demonic that God has to judge us. So my hope is for a third great awakening. And that's what I talk about on Brett's and his issues, about standing for that, having a militia of the mind, out pray them, out believe them, out fight for them, out fast them. Maybe God says, no, I got to judge, and maybe. But in the meantime, I'm going to shoot for him showing us some mercy. And so that's kind of what this is, but I do it with my own particular flavor. I'm a comic, I'm an actor, I'm this, I'm that. I'm just a human being that happens to have a particular way to talk and communicate. So do you, because you're an artist. And I want to talk about you. You are an artist. And you know why I know that?
Endeavors.
Let me tell you something. And again, I've got to get this guy's name because I always screw this up. But here's the story. He was a writer of science fiction. And he had written some book. It was famous. So it was maybe 50s, 60s. Anyways, he had the book. It went real well. And Dorothy Parker, the famous writer from
Sounds
the
familiar.
30s and 40s, very clever. You've heard of her one-liners and stuff.
New York.
Yeah, New Yorker maybe, of that ilk, of that folks. Anyway, you'd know her if you saw some of her material. But anyway, she's very well-known. She sent him a note and said, hey, I saw your book. I thought it was amazing. Here's what I remember. It was a documentary about him. He said, you're not a writer until a writer tells you you're a writer. And I remember going, that's right. As a comic, you love it that people laugh. That's what your job is, and you're grateful they do, and it's fun and whatever. But when a comic says you're funny, you're like, because it's one of my people. They know how hard this is.
Or if they repeat one of your jokes to you.
Yeah.
That's
But that's, yes, because they are honoring your skill set from people that know what it really looks like. I want to talk about your career, and we're friends. So I'm going to be honest with you, as I always am on Brad Stine Has Issues, because I'm so sick of people saying we need a national discussion on race, and then when we try to have one, everybody gets nervous and doesn't want to have it. It's like either we talk truthfully or we don't. I think your career is...
Those Norwegians.
Yes.
They're ruining our country.
There she is. She has always been anti-Norway. I didn't want to bring this up, but it's too late. It's on tape now. There's nothing I can do.
I call them Weegians.
Well, the Ouija's, I want to talk about your career because it's ridiculous. I know you for real. I mean, we're not super close, but we certainly have had plenty of conversations. We respect each other. We enjoy each other's company. I consider us friends. I don't think you aware of your body of work because it's so ridiculous, Victoria.
Well, Brad, I have to tell you, I have been going through my scrapbooks lately and posting pictures from 1,000 years ago on my Instagram. And I have been kind of like, wow, I met Tony Bennett. Wow, I was singing with Willie Nelson. So I kind of slapped the pictures up on the wall all over my house and my Instagram because when I just wake up and think, oh, you fat old lady, what a boring, stupid life. And then I go, wait a minute. My dad said I've had millions of lives.
But the enemy doesn't want you to have the privilege of being grateful and relish the gifts that God has given to you.
Well, I'm not relishing gifts because it sounds very
Why wouldn't
arrogant.
you be grateful that God has allowed you to do this amazing
I'm
journey?
Grateful that God let me have such a fun, amazing life. Because when I was 8, and there was a sermon, whom shall I send? Who will go? From Isaiah. And then he said, here am I, Lord, send me. I went forward and I truthfully said from my heart, God, I want to tell the world the gospel. Send me. And I really meant it. I remember saying, now I've heard my daughter say this. And so she probably got it from me and doesn't remember. But I said, God, I don't want to go to Africa because I don't like the snakes and the bugs and the heat, because I grew up in Miami. I was sweating all the time. I hated the heat. I would like to be in Alaska or somewhere cold, but it's more my Norwegian blood seeking cold. I said, God, but if you want me to go to Africa, I will, but because we were shown films from Africa and people starving and bugs and animals eating people and stuff. And so then when I was in the halls of Saturday Night Live, walking alone one day, and I thought, what am I doing here? I've never taken improv class. I never had a TV growing up. I never watched the show in the 75 to 80 because we didn't have TV and I was busy. I was in college, whatever. And then it was like, oh, this is my mission field. And I'm always aware that everything I do and everywhere I go, I'm a missionary. Very aware. If I buy a bottle of wine in the grocery store, I'm very aware that might be hurting the cause of Christ, even though Jesus turned water into wine.
Indeed, and it was the best wine they'd ever had.
That's right. So I don't feel real guilty about wine, but I'm always aware. So anyway, I was like, oh, this is my mission field. Yeah, that's pretty cool, God. That is pretty cool. And it's scary in the same way Africa is in a different way. It was scary in lots of different ways.
Well, but your mission field, as is mine, was America, which has its own snakes, its own bugs, its own spiders, and its own demons, and its own evil. And boy, have we watched that take control over the last 10 years in this nation. In 1992, if I remember correctly, I was in the green room at the Laugh Stop in Newport Beach, California, as I was trying to build my stand-up career. And the TV's on in between sets, and on it was The Tonight Show. And the reason I was watching was it happened to be the last show that Johnny Carson was in. He was retiring. And it was a big news. It was big news because this guy was the king of late night.
And he was so good at it.
To this day, probably the best there ever was at that particular skill set. And at that time, there wasn't social media, and there wasn't internet, and there wasn't ways for you to take a phone and do a video of it and throw it out there and on a network that you've created. And next thing you know, you're famous and people spend tickets to come see you because you have 2 minutes of material because they don't know any different, that you just happen to do a great little tiny bit and they don't realize you don't got an hour's worth. Yeah. So you had to really do the work. And if you were going to be seen nationwide and have that shot, you were looking for that Tonight Show shot. That was the brass ring.
Yes, it was.
If you as a stand-up comic got to be on the Tonight Show, and if, Lord have mercy, you finished that set and he did that, you had a career.
That's right.
So for someone to make it on there, and we're talking about, Seinfeld, Stephen Wright, and Roseanne, all these people that just killed with this thing, that was iconic moments of these people who went on to have incredible careers, sitcoms and whatever. The point being this, if you don't know this, if you younger folks didn't know about Carson, if you were on The Tonight Show, you did it. You have reached the pinnacle. To get on once. And if he brought you back, oh my Lord, you've been on twice. What about once a year? Could you imagine? Victoria Jackson.
I was on 20 times, 18 with Johnny, once with Gary Shandling, and once with someone else. John Larroquette, I think, was the host one.
I'm sorry, did you say, how many times were you on The Tonight Show?
I was on 18 with Johnny Carson. But I got to tell you, none of my peers recognize that. None of them ever acknowledge that I'm one of their peers. Performance
Why?
art,
What would you call that particular style of
unique.
Wyatt, what do you think? You saw it. Have you ever seen stand-up on a balance beam? Comedy, singing.
I mean, it definitely brings more meaning to stand-up.
It does indeed, because there's something at stake that you could actually be killed during your set as opposed to killing, which is a very odd
it was
thing.
dangerous.
How did you think of that?
Oh, it's one of my proudest moments.
How did you think of doing that?
For 2 years, I do stand-up, trying to get 6 minutes. And the Comedy Store was dark and scary and druggy and bad words. And the Improv was scary and bad words, a little less druggy, a little. And I got a job as a cigarette girl at the Variety Arts Center downtown LA. Cigarettes, cashews, nobody smoked. It was like for the ambiance, because it was a 30s club. It was old people.
But you're in LA trying to make a career?
I was trying to be an airhead on a sitcom.
Really?
Because I saw Three's Company and I said, I could do that better than her, because Suzanne Summers is doing it dirty. Like, oh, you caught me in the shower naked.
Right.
And I thought it would be so much more palatable if she did it innocently. Like, there's a fine line. Well, there's a big line. Like, oh, I'm in the shower. Like, everyone's thinking,
right,
pretty blonde in the shower. You don't have to be dirty.
Don't have to indicate. We get the idea.
I just, like the old days with the movies, when you see the door shut, they're making love. You don't have to shut.
Oh, yeah, no. Let my mind do it for me. Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I could do an innocent ditz. And it would be a lot more, but I didn't.
Let the records show she said dits.
But see, I wasn't calculating this with words in my mind. It was a feeling in my heart. I was like, one, I don't want to live in poverty. I have no money from my family. They can't afford me to finish college. I don't want to be a typist the rest of my life. This was before computers. I'm like, you can make a lot of money if you play dits on a TV show. I could do that. I always thought people were calling me ditz, but what it really was innocence. I always thought people were saying, she plays ditzy good, but I think it's innocence, because I really did have an innocent heart.
But you were aware of that, and you wanted that to come to the fore. Because here's a very important moment right now. I'm serious. Your entire life and persona, at least from SNL, was the dumb blonde. I mean, that was your thing, which has been around.
Until I took my wig off and showed my brown hair and started talking like this. And then it blew everyone's mind.
Well, that's stormy weather. Yeah. But listen to me. This is important, because I need you to help me on this. So the problem with dumb blondes, all of them, from the beginning, was
like Gracie Allen.
Yes, but here's
Say good night, Gracie. Good
but
night,
when
Gracie.
it comes to that particular character, there is this presumption you can't escape it. It's like that's who she actually is.
I think it's a big part of you.
But here's what's I don't know. I've known you a long time, and we're friends. And here's what I know: you're smart, you're well read, you're contemplative. You're talented.
I can dance.
You can dance. You can balance. But
I can do dangerous tricks on a 4-inch board on live TV.
Yes, but Victoria, you are
a superstar.
You're
Molly,
no.
Molly Shannon made that up.
You are
could have happened.
Idiosyncratic. You're an enigma because it's like you either are are doing method. And you committed to this character for 50 years. You're so good at this. That's like, she is,
Wait,
you know.
that's a funny joke because I just played an old lady in a movie, a low budget in Virginia Beach. The day before I went there, I had surgery on my ankle. So I called the director and I said, could you get me a walker? Not only would it be good for my character, but I actually need one because I just had my leg cut open and I'm on painkillers. And anyway, my little joke was, I'm method because I was playing an old lady. Right. I made myself crippled. I put on a gray wig, started coughing.
But you've never been out of character since I have known you, and we've been in lots of scenarios.
Even when I talk like this.
When you talk like that, it's very much a commitment to be in that. I filmed you doing that character because you told me it was a takeoff on one of your SNL friends, Jan Hooks.
No, the one where I take the wig off and say, this is the real me. And I go,
I can't believe people bought it.
Yeah.
The voice, the poems. Go figure.
That one?
Yes.
Well, that one was inspired because of Jan and Nora.
Right.
Because
you told me that.
That's the way they acted all the time. Like, really mean and stuff. And so I was doing an impression of them, actually. But the funny part was my dad called me the next day and he goes, that was a really interesting update you did last night. But the scary thing was I didn't know if that was the real you or if the Vicky I know since you were born was the real you. And I was like, yes, acting.
Well, you did that funny character for me. I filmed it on my phone. I don't know if you remember this, a long time ago. Might have been when we were in D.C., when we first met. But anyways, I was at the airport in
John Guandolo!
Yep. I just talked to him. He just got remarried. I don't know if you know that. And he's expecting a child with his new bride. I was at B&A, and I ran into John Waters.
Yes.
Remember that? You know, from Hairspray.
That tall, skinny guy.
Yeah. And I said, I got to show you this because he's such an odd.
Oh, you showed it.
You know, he's the gay guy that does the. Anyways, and he thought it was hysterical. But my point is this: here's what I want to find out about this particular interview, this particular moment.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's even a way to discover what we're talking about right now.
I think there's a way.
You're odd.
Okay, you know Don Knotts?
Yes.
I bet in real life he was a little bit like that, but maybe.
I heard he was a ladies' man.
Really?
Yeah, which is mind-boggling because he wasn't like Mr. Attractive.
Yeah, I'm attracted to him.
Well, okay, but you, who are you? Okay. Who is this girl? Because I got to know. Do you understand how you people perceive you? Are you sitting there doing it going, it's kind of like the thing is working? Or are you just going, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just being me. And it comes out like this, and this is how I perceive it, and I feel like it's normal. Well, you don't see the weirdness of some of your style.
I see it.
Okay, so are you manufacturing that, or is that who you are, and it just comes out organically?
My family said, I said, what did you think, Jimmy, when I got on TV? And he goes, you're just being you. Like, I don't know why they're paying you a lot of money. That's just you.
Well, your voice is real. I mean, you have a high-pitched voice, so that's your real voice. That's not an affectation.
No.
So that you can't help that.
Well, that I was looked at by a specialist when I was a temp secretary, and he was a throat specialist, and he goes, excuse me, can I do a throat exam on you? And I was like, I was a teenager. Like, nobody talked about my voice.
Yeah.
Everyone who knew me just knew me like that. Like a boring girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I thought, well, free throat exam, whatever. And then he said I had congenital palatal insufficiency, that my palate didn't go all the way into my what. And my parents had a meeting around the table, family meeting. Should we have throat surgery? Insurance would pay for it. And the doctor...
Like your vocal cords are not fully developed?
No, that my palate, something about the flappy thing doesn't go all the way. I don't even know if he knew what he was talking about. But the funny part is my little family in our poor little neighborhood around the round table going, should Vicky have throat surgery? Insurance would pay for it. Well, what's wrong with her voice? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Well,
Were you in part of this discussion?
yeah.
What did you think? Were you like,
I said,
I'm
well,
good.
what if they make a mistake with the knife and I can never talk again? I love talking.
Yes.
It's like, just let me talk, whatever. Just, I don't want to get cut by accident. And the doctor I worked for, Dr. Wessel, who's my husband's father, he wouldn't let me answer the phone in his office because people thought a child was answering the phone. So he's like, Vicky.
Can I speak to your dad?
Yeah. He's like, Vicky is not allowed on the phone. You do the typing. And so, it was starting to be like a thing. And then my drama teacher in high school would not let me be in the play. And I said, why can't I audition for the play? And she goes, because you talk like a baby to get attention. And I said, and that hurt my feelings really bad because I've never been disingenuous.
Right.
So then I go, well, how can I change my baby voice?
Yeah.
Like, teach me. You're the speech teacher.
Right.
And she goes, well, I pretend like you're walking downstairs and with each note. She actually said that. So I started practicing going down the stairs and talking like. That's how I discovered to talk low, to try to go down the stairs. And I was like, but how do I be a person if I'm talking on the lowest stair? Everything I say. Well, so the thing is, like, young people are finding themselves. Who am I? Where do I fit into the world? And as a Christian, what's my mission field? Where do I go? How do I do it? How do you be a missionary no matter what you're doing? Like in college, I had this passion for English and literature and plays and poetry. So I just kind of started falling. And then I was in my first play and I got the bug. But like when I would do Shakespeare, Hamlet, my son, how is it that the clouds still hang on you? Good Hamlet, cast off thy nighted color and look like a friend on Denmark. Do not forever with thy veiled lid seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou knowest 'tis common. All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity. Anyway, that was my Cyndi Lauper version. But anyway, like the doors were closing on Shakespeare. They were opening on Comedy Ditzy. So you just kind of follow where the doors are.
But does a ditz know they're a ditz? Or are you just going, listen, here's how they see me. Here's how they hear me. I'm not doing anything. This isn't an affectation. I'm not trying to contrive this. I'm not creating a show. This isn't inauthentic. This is who I am. And it happens to be a particular thumbprint, unlike anyone else's. It's actually the lottery because you were given something that made you a lot of money. That voice is legit. And so, but people almost feel like, and not just you, but anyone that has a very specific character like that. Like, who was the original blonde in the 40s or something?
Oh, Judy Holliday.
Julie Holliday. So it's like that. So they've been around.
Okay, someone said to me, "You're like Judy Holliday."
Yes.
I never heard of her because I didn't have a TV.
Oh, yeah.
I looked her up.
She was the original.
And I watched it, and I was like, that's me.
That's me in the
It
40s.
was like I was doing her. I didn't even know who. I've never heard of her. Okay, my friend Maggie is exactly like the girl from Schitt's Creek. Her behavior, her everything. And I go, Maggie, you act just like that girl from Schitt's Creek. And I'm like, does she act like that because she watched it a lot of times or because it's kind of
But that's my point. You aren't faking anything. So there was value in you being you. This is my voice, so I'm going to leverage it. And you did. And you ended up on The Tonight Show 20 times. Victoria, that's ridiculous.
Well, here's the greatest.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, well, here's the greatest thing about God. Remember when Joseph's brothers, put him in the ditch so he would die and all that, and sold him into slavery, and he became the head of Egypt?
Yeah.
And Joseph said what God meant for evil, what man meant for evil, God used for good. I love that because the reason I got inspired for that balance beam song, what happened was I was on Carson the first time. he liked my act. And so the second time, I'm like, all I have is my B material. I don't have more than 6 minutes. I have like 3 shaky minutes. And they're like, we'll do that, and he'll bring you to the couch. Then the third time, they said, he wants you back, but it has to be really big. I go, I got nothing. 2 years I've spent getting that 6 minutes. My big chance, I got nothing.
And you were doing these in clubs, comedy clubs?
Just the Variety Arts Center.
Okay.
As the cigarette girl.
Okay.
I put my tray down, do my act, put my tray.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful to Milt Larson. He owns the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
He just passed away. And my whole life, I've thanked him so many times for giving me that opportunity.
I didn't know you knew Milt Larson.
Milt Larson.
You know, I was a professional magician before I was a comedian. Do you know that?
I forgot.
So I was
went
at the
to
castle
his
back then.
funeral thing.
Nice. So how did he help? Oh, did he own the Variety
He
Arts?
owned the Variety Arts.
Okay.
He knew that, and one of his best friends was the set designer of The Tonight Show. And he was there all the time. And somehow he told Jim McCauley, come and see this girl. There's a lot of people I have to thank for helping me get a career. But
Well,
anyway,
I wonder, is it also possible that Johnny had a little crush on you?
Carson?
Yeah. As
Wait.
in,
Well, let me tell
hit on you.
when you're 20 and you're blonde,
He hit on you, didn't he?
everyone has a crush on you. Let me just repeat that.
Did Johnny Carson?
When you're 20 years old and you're blonde and you're not fat and you work out because you were raised in gymnastics, every single married and single man that you meet has a crush on you. And now that I'm 60, I resent that because
But did
they're
Johnny?
not hitting on me anymore. And I'm the same person.
No, you are. But now you even have more life
men aren't
experience. You think they'd
interested.
be. So, do you ever feel like Johnny was sort of seen if that was even a possibility?
I do think he was a little interested from one interview I watched where in the break in between in the commercial he went, "Are you really divorced?"
And you're certainly savvy enough to know if he was saying that's interesting or, oh, so you're divorced.
I think he was,
Hitting on you.
well, Sean Connery hit on me and it was so subtle that it took me years to figure it out that was hitting on.
How could you not know when a man is interested in you?
Well,
How is that possible?
if he just says, "Are you really getting divorced?"
Sean Connery, you just said hit on you and that you weren't quite sure about it.
Okay, that's because, want to hear that story?
I do.
Well, he
Not
passed-
everybody gets hit on by Sean Connery, Victoria.
I think everyone does,
Well.
actually. Every girl
Okay.
under 50, I think, gets hit on by him. Okay, so first, can I finish this
Please,
story?
yes, let's get that
Okay,
out of the way.
first, let's finish the story of the balance beam.
Okay.
So my coach in college, because my dad was a gymnastics coach, I had to do it my whole life. It's family business. I didn't want to do it. I had to do it and make him happy. I'm in college, small college nationals. I made, but my coach didn't tell me I made it because she was always mean to me. I said, "Daddy, Nancy is mean to me." He goes, "Why would your coach be mean to you?" I go, "I think she's jealous because I had more training." She loved gymnastics and I hated it. And I'd been trained for 18 years by my passionate into dad. And Nancy loved it, but wasn't good at it because her dad didn't pour 18 years. I think she might have been jealous of that. But anyway, she was my coach. My dad got a call from his friend. "Why wasn't your daughter at the small college nationals? They said her name." And I'd worked my whole life I wasn't an Olympian, and so she got fired. That coach got fired because she didn't tell me I made the nationals. It would have made the college look good. Anyway, that anger, of the unfairness, inspired the song Angry Woman. What inspired me to do it on a balance beam was when Jim McCauley said, "He wants you back, you got to do something really big." I'm like, and I was thinking, I'm writing this song called Angry Woman. I am an angry woman. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got a streak in my hair. And punk was in then. And I thought it'd be funny, me being punk, because I'm so opposite of punk rock with all the anger. And I thought, I've never seen anyone sing while doing gymnastics. That would be a unique, never been done. Like my first act on Carson was doing poetry upside down, holding a handstand. That was part of my 6 minutes. That was 1 minute of my 6 minutes. And Johnny liked that. That's probably why the real stand-ups don't respect me, because they probably think I'm a little vaudeville-y. But they should respect me, because it was just as hard for me to get a spot on Carson as it was for them. That's how I thought of singing on the balance beam. I went to the gym for 3 months, got some of my tricks back. I didn't do the back handspring, which I used to, because you peak at 14. I was now 23. Jim McCauley went, I said, Jim, they won't let me work out because they're afraid I'll sue them if I get hurt. So he went to the gym, said, I'm from the Tonight Show. She'll sign a paper that she won't sue you if she gets hurt. I will put your team on the Tonight Show if you let her work out for 3 months. He lied. He never put their team on the Tonight Show. But I got to work out for 3 months, got my tricks back, made up the song. That's one of my hardest things I've ever done, not falling off the beam. I almost did. There's part of it where I go like that. That's not fake. But first, Macaulay made me do it in Vancouver on this other talk show to see if it worked. And then I did it on this other Canada show. And then the Tonight Show said, okay, it works. And then I did it in London. They sent me to London to do it. But London didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was doing the song and, and they were like, what is that lady doing flips and singing about anger? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I don't get Monty Python. So
All right. Here's what I wanted to say. You talked about the Tonight Show. You talked about how you ended up doing this interesting avant-garde is really what it is. It's odd. It's vaudevillian, but it's also just kind of surreal. When you're on SNL, you were a huge star. I mean, people loved your person, and you were a sex symbol. And every guy that saw you on SNL was in love with you. And I believe it's A, because you're pretty, but 2, because you were authentic. There was something about your character that she isn't pretending. She's really this sweet, innocent, which is a testimony to your faith, that this purity, which unfortunately it makes you even more attractive to demons. Right? Yeah. Well, but it's true. They want to destroy the beauty, not the darkness. They already have that. They want the innocence. That's why they always make the nuns, do the this or that, because they want to lambast and spit upon the greatness of God and the holiness of God, because they can't stand it, because it's the antithesis of what they are. They lost all that. But you ended up in these movies, and I got to talk to you about this because it's so ridiculous. First off, tell me about Half Nelson.
Okay. But people have to know, like...
Joe Pesci.
Yes, he hit me in the face. Yes, you did, Joe Pesci.
Well, accidentally. He was moving around, confused.
Not accidental. Here's what people have to understand. I don't know about other businesses, but on the day-to-day, as being in the most unpredictable business that doesn't reward loyalty, it doesn't, like, show business doesn't reward you for... I mean, I heard Sally Field had to audition for Forrest Gump after she'd won millions of awards.
Yeah, no, that's absurd.
So they don't reward... Like, nobody's offering me great roles now because I used to be on SNL. It doesn't work that way.
But you're also in a billion movies.
No, but this is the thing. When I was on SNL, no one was offering me movies. I was calling my agent. Would you please tell her that I haven't had an audition for a movie in 2 years and I'm never going to be this hot for the rest of my life? If I can't, like, get an audition for a movie now while I'm on SNL, I ain't never going to get an audition for... I'll leave her the message. Hi, is Risa Shapiro? This is what the reality is. When you look back on it, it's like, oh, look at my career. Look at I was in that and that. But no, the reality is every day you have nothing. Every day we thought we were getting fired from SNL. All of us, even Dana Carvey. They could fire us, but we couldn't quit. That was the contract. One day I was eating a bagel and Lauren said, watch that, don't gain weight. Every day I was taking the train an hour and a half from Connecticut to New York to sit at the read-through and have no lines that week. Be in the bow. I go, Lauren, it's embarrassing to be in the bows when I have no lines. You're a lot more visible than you think you are. Taking the train an hour and a half that way, an hour and a half back. I mean, the reality is, it's not glamorous.
You did a show with Joe Pesci, which is a huge actor.
Well, how did that happen? Because I was on The Tonight Show. My name started being buzzed around LA. I guess nobody tells you that. I have an agent who never talks. I have a manager who never talks to me. She's going to get 15%. They're going to get 10%. They're just waiting for me to get something big. You know, they aren't doing anything to get me an audition or a meeting. I get on the show. It's 12 weeks contract. It stops at the 6th week because Joe Pesci was being difficult.
To you or to everybody?
To everybody.
Okay.
He wouldn't come out of his trailer because they wanted him to wear a dress. He was playing a private detective in Beverly Hills, and I was his love interest secretary. He was difficult, but I got paid for 12, so I got to buy my first house, $150,000 in Laurel Canyon.
Nice.
And I had a baby and a husband who never worked. He was an out-of-work fire eater musician. So I was the breadwinner, and I was like so nervous. I'm like, if I get a job as a waitress, I won't be available for auditions, and I can't make enough money for $1,000 a month. For it's reality.
Yeah.
The glamorous thing is
It's
just
harder.
smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
The career is smoke and mirrors. You know how I got on Joe Pesci, man, I can't remember, but most of my things were an accident. Like I went to a party at Bob Schiller's house. He wrote I Love Lucy, and Fox was writing me an I Love Lucy. Schiller and Weiskopf, because of The Tonight Show, they were going to make me the next I Love Lucy. It was called Twinkie. And they gave me $60,000 to be contracted to them, sit at home and do nothing while they try to write the next I Love Lucy. And we would have meetings, and I would try to be beautiful and funny. And I'm like, 24. So this is a good salad. I'm thinking like, they're trying to get inspiration.
Okay, but you've always said this. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure how to write this.
I was
You talk about
ambitious,
SNL.
I was brave, but I had
But I want to talk about these people you have shared the screen with. Diane Keaton?
Yeah, I walked past her on the street one day, and
Oscars.
she pretended she didn't know me.
How about
Yeah.
pickup artists? Molly Ringwald, Robert Downey
Yes,
Jr.
I had to kiss Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, so that's got to be horrible.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But
Did he hit on you?
no,
Oh, that's interesting.
not at all.
Okay.
I was married. I was in the trailer all night.
Mhm.
And the guy who wrote it, James Toback, is a very sleazy guy. He is, since I met him, they've proved that he's a Harvey Weinstein type.
Oh,
But when I was experiencing it, no one talked about me too. It was just like, and we were in the trailer all night. You know, it's 2 a.m, it's 3 a.m, it's 4 a.m, you're trying to look pretty for your close up. And he started talking real dirty, real sexual dirty. And I said, James, if you're going to talk like that, then I'm going to start talking about Jesus and the Bible.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
And his eyes were like, he wasn't offended. He was intrigued.
No.
He was more excited. He was like, what?
See?
But
It's the nun thing I told you about. There's something about the innocence. No.
When I auditioned for the pickup artist, Warren Beatty was the producer. He took his name off of the movie
Okay.
because it flopped. But he was the guy auditioning me. So I go in and I read the lines. I had very small lines, like 5 or 10. He goes, okay, we want you to improvise about sex. You know, there's a camera there. And I'd only been with one person, my husband, the fire eater. And so I'm like, oh, and my cheeks turned red.
How do you improvise? What does that even mean?
I don't know. They were like, talk about sex. Like, what would you do if, you're on a date with Harvey Keitel? He was my boyfriend in the movie. Or, what would you do if he brought another girl into the car? Because that's in the movie.
So they want to see if you can improvise.
They wanted me
I
to
see.
improvise about a sexual situation.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay. I probably said something like, well, I'm a Baptist virgin, so probably would not like him bringing another girl because I'm trying to get him to marry me. I said something genuine.
Innocent.
Yeah. So
Which completely intrigued
blows
Warren
their
Beatty.
Yeah, so then,
I want her.
yeah. So he walks me out of the interview down the hall.
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty's walking her down the
So
aisle.
they go, thank you. I'm leaving. And he's walking with me. And he goes like, so, are you really Baptist? I'm like, yeah, I'm a Christian. And he goes, yeah, I was raised Baptist. And I go, really? Wow. Since then, I've heard interviews. Him and his sister, Shirley MacLaine, were raised I think in the church, Baptist, I think. He was very intrigued. I got pregnant with my husband. Didn't hear anything about, did I get the part in The Pickup Artist? So months go by. And then my agent says, they're having a read through of the movie. I go, did I get the part? She goes, we don't know yet. Oh, okay. And they go, they're having a read through at Warren Beatty's house on Mulholland Drive, 3:00 Sunday or whatever. I go, is that normal to have a read through, like an audition at like the movie star's house?
And I don't even have the part.
No, I didn't have the part
So
yet.
it's like, it doesn't make any sense. You're reading through something that's not
And
even...
the secretary goes like, I don't know. This is what their information is. I'm like, okay. So I brought my husband, didn't tell anyone, come to the door with the fire eater. Warren opens the door in a towel. and I had to think fast. And I go, should we have dressed more casually?
Yeah, right.
I'm so proud of that line.
That's a great line.
Great.
It's a great line.
Like, how did I
So
think of
were you
that?
the only... Let me ask. Are you saying you were the only one there?
No!
Oh, so it really was all these folks.
Me
Okay.
and the fire eater go in, and his houseboy, this blonde, handsome model guy, goes, here's where the read-through is. We're like the first ones there. Timothy Hutton stumbles out of the bedroom, and a pretty girl stumbles out, disheveled hair. They come to the table. Very slowly, people come. We read through the movie. 6 months later, I get the call. You got the part. I go, I just had a baby. And I had to lose like 40 pounds in like 2 months. They go, well, we're going to shoot in July or something. So I started walking up the hills of Laurel Canyon every day, trying not to eat anything, and lost most of it.
Warren Beatty. And then off we go, and we find...
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I didn't know I was going to meet Warren Beatty. It's just
Were you mind-boggled, or you just never been very starstruck?
felt like Alice in Wonderland. Like, wow. And what I learned was nobody knows the secret formula. Nobody knows what they're doing. Like, I thought, Hollywood knows what it's doing. They find a star, they make her a star, Judy Garland, Doris Day, whatever. And that, I knew that this was the time in my life I could chase a whim because I didn't have a husband or kids. I go, I know I'm going to have a husband and kids someday. This is the only window in my life where I could chase a whim. I don't really know if I could get to be an airhead on a sitcom, but like day to day, you have nothing. And then you got to make out of it the best you can.
And that's true. Everything you're saying is true. I mean, there's very few actors that make a living full-blown all day long, very true. And I'm talking about people you would know and recognize who make money, but it's not like they're always wondering where's the next gig coming from.
Yeah.
So I understand that. And that's a true statement. But one of the things I wanted to bring up to them and maybe to remind you of the significance of the people you have been with is stellar. Oscar-winning actors and actresses. And I just, meeting you, you'd act like you did community theater or something. It's like, you even co-starred in...
You mean I have the mind of Christ? Humility?
Yes.
Yay!
Yay. See?
I have the mind of Christ!
You are saved after all. Finally. We've
I'm
proven
the
you're born
most
again.
Humble person I know.
Casual Sex. You were a co-star. So suddenly, did you feel like this is my big break? Me and Leah Thompson, who is... What is this after Back to the Future? She had been...
Mm-hmm.
So she was a big star, and she was in Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, one of the best movies ever successful. And then you are a co-star with her in that, which you must have felt, I did it. I'm finally given my equal billing.
Well, I was working my way up, right?
Co-star's a big deal.
So first I'm in a canceled series with Pesci and a couple other canceled series people don't know about. And then I'm on SNL. Huge, well, first Carson, then huge opportunity. Then I start to get movies, and that was my first co-lead in a movie.
Yes.
My problem was it was called Casual Sex. There was no nudity that I was asked to do or in the script, except the nude beach where my character, Melissa, is supposed to be the shy one. And a Christian didn't write it. So Leah Thompson was the wild one. I was the shy one. Like, I wasn't the Christian one with morals. I was the shy one. They wanted to show my butt laying on the beach at the nude beach. And I was like, well, all butts look the same. My character's like, we're doing something bad. And I thought, if I turn this down for the Lord, he'll bless my career. And if I do it, he might curse my career and say, No, you gave in to the world. So I was very torn.
So that's only when you get on set
When
that
I
they
got
decide,
the
oh, by
part-
the way, do I mention?
Yes. When I got
Which
the
happens often for women.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And then they usually call their agent and said,
It was a woman director, Genevieve Reitman, Ivan Reitman's wife. He did Ghostbusters and Animal House.
Yeah.
He was the producer. She was the director, and she had a French-Canadian accent. And, there was no mention of my butt showing in the script. So I was like, I got the part because of my acting. We'll deal with it when I get there. My character would probably wear something, which would be cute and funny.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the only clothed person on the beach. So we get to the massage scene, and my character's first massage. Now, I already have the part, already signed contracts. This is big. They're spending a lot of money. There's a lot of pressure. She goes, now, Victoria, I want you to be standing back there with your derriere showing, and you have a towel, and you're putting it on when Jamie walks in the room, and then, he sees you. And I go, Genevieve, my character has never had a massage. There's no way she would be standing naked in the corner of the room.
Right.
She would have all of her clothes on,
Right.
or be already in the table under
Yeah.
the towel with
Wearing
her
a sweater.
underwear. Yeah, she wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
And Genevieve goes, Victoria, I am the director. I go, but I'm a Baptist, and I don't want to do nudity. We had this talk on the side.
At the nudity talk.
We had the nudity talk, and she goes, you are not Victoria. You are Melissa. You're playing Melissa. I am. I am not Victoria. I am. And I can't quit. I can't get sued. I'll never work again. I understand why people compromise. Gray area, whatever. But the movie is tame. The title is shocking. But the movie is sweet and tame. It ends with getting married and happily ever after. And they showed my butt.
This is a dilemma for Christians if they want to be an actor, because
If you're 20.
you have to choose what you're going to
If
do.
you're over 40 and you're a woman, it never comes up.
Well,
Not a problem. No one's asking anymore.
yeah.
Can I be naked?
Yeah. You're
No.
saying anybody would see my butt? No. Now we don't, actually.
No, we don't
Can
want
we-
to see it. But it looks very similar to no, we don't want to see it.
Yeah, we're good. We've had that experience.
Yeah.
When I was in class in Hollywood back in the day when I was trying to learn how to be an actor and get involved, I had scenes with girls, and you'd kiss them and you'd fondle them and you'd do things because that's part of it. And I was married, and honestly, I didn't care because my
Did Desiree?
yeah, 33. And
Did Desiree mind?
no, she's the most unjealous woman I've ever known.
Weird.
Because it was under the context of it's not like she would have minded if I was having an affair, which I never have had in 33 years. But no, she understands that's business. And I went into that thinking, I got to figure out what my parameters are, because if I'm going to be Christian and I'm not going to take any roles that have A, B, and C, or the curse or this, that, then don't do this acting, because those roles aren't going to be there or go into the faith-based world. And so I had these experiences. I looked at it the same way. I'm a vehicle. I'm portraying something that I'm not. That's like saying we can't do any films about Jesus unless the guy playing Jesus is a Christian, which oftentimes wasn't the case. Or it's like going to a Christian saying, you can't play Satan. He's the most evil guy there ever was.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. I'm playing and showing. And so that was the way I thought about it. And I justified it. And I was okay with it. And I remember thinking to myself, Brad, you've spent your career showing that you can be a clean comic, be just as funny, just as edgy, and not have to use these words. And it's like, and they trust you. Your people trust you. Now you're going to go do this thing and say this.
Right.
And so I went to the director and said, I have a feeling, what if this guy didn't say that? What if he said, I'm trying to be creative, but really get out of it like you tried to do.
Yeah. And
But it was a
usually-
legitimate thing. And he goes, that's a good idea. It's like, let's shoot both. And I know they use the other thing. My point was this. This is what I learned from that. God gives you permission to fail. He gives you permission to do it wrong, to figure out how to do it right. We're imperfect people doing the best we can. 2, it isn't about my character or what he said or did. It's about the movie. Do I believe this story is something I want told in the marketplace? Because I'm going to be in this for the rest of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
When you do a movie, it's like the way God sees your life. He sees your life for the whole context. A movie is out in the atmosphere. When we're long gone, our movies are going to be playing forever. My comedy is going to be, I Love Lucy is still playing. They've been long gone.
Mm-hmm.
So my point was, do you like this story? And when I thought of the story, this guy's story, it was a student film. It was stupid and crude and dumb. I was just trying to get practice in front of a camera.
Of course.
And I go, I don't like the story. I don't want to be part of the story. So I finished it. I did the thing. It never got seen. It was a student film. But it taught me, do you believe in the story? And the people that had to make those decisions were Denzel Washington's, who was a Christ follower. He will not do nude and he will not do sex scenes because he's married. But he'll curse up a storm. He will curse. That was where he felt he's okay with that. I'm thinking of the remake of Rene Russo.
Yes.
Okay. She went to a pastor. Hey, I gotta do this thing.
But she did it.
And she did it.
And she didn't really work again, did she?
I don't know. My point is this. I thought to myself, I guess she decided this is okay for her. We have to make our own decisions, but ultimately, it is our real persona attached. I don't know, would you say it would be wrong for the Christian to do a nude scene if you were in Schindler's List and you were walking to the see what I'm saying?
I hate that
because
movie.
there's actual documentaries of people
I walked
actually.
out of that movie. I thought it was exploitive because there was nudity, sex, and violence in the same minute. And I thought I was going to vomit. So,
But it's,
I don't think.
But it was reality.
Yeah.
And you're right. You didn't necessarily have to show
They
it.
could have showed.
But
the
what if they were
back of
trying to?
naked
What if
people.
they were trying to make you so uncomfortable because that's how this was? This should
Well,
have
that's
made
like
you feel
the
sick.
latest Babylon Bee. It's a very clever, the
Yeah, I've seen
latest
it.
one
With Jesus
with
being
Jesus,
woke
and
and
it
go.
made me uncomfortable because it was clever and it made a good point against liberalism. But I hated seeing God's word twisted, even though it was.
But those of us who are aware of what His Word actually says is aware of how they are defaming God's holy word by letting it see how nasty it looks. But this is the
it made me
problem.
uncomfortable.
Okay, Victoria, this is the issue.
Work out your salvation
What do we
with
do?
fear and
Yeah.
trembling.
So we had to make a
It's
choice.
personal between you and God.
It is. So you tried to take a stand.
And I never had a lead role in a real movie again.
Okay, well, do you think that's God's punishment?
I don't know if it's punishment so much as, I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. That was my last lead role in a legitimate film, not a low budget,
You know who desperately wanted to marry you?
Oh,
Weird Al Yankovic.
no, he didn't desperately.
He loved you and he wanted you to
Well,
be his
I
gal.
desperately wanted to marry him. I dreamed about him the other night, but I don't think he wanted me that.
You were in UHF with Weird Al Yankovic,
Yeah, but
and
I
he completely fell head over heels.
How do you know?
I know things.
Well,
Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, I got a crush on him. I don't know, but if he got a crush.
Do you don't think that Weird Al was interested in you?
We did have a dinner once, and something interesting happened. I don't know if I should
Were you married?
say it on the air.
You should
I
say
was
it on the
getting
air.
divorced. But anyway, I didn't tell you my Sean Connery story.
I want to hear about Weird Al Yankovic and what happened at the dinner.
I got a crush on him because we're born in the same year. I looked in his eyes. I said, "Are you a Christian?" He goes, "Yeah." "How could you tell?" I go, "Your eyes." I went to church with him once.
I didn't know he's a Christian.
Yeah. Interesting.
Normally, we know our people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not. I don't know, but and he certainly has always been clean and
Oh,
whatever.
he's clean. And
But-
I was like, awesome.
Do you think he's a believer?
He didn't like me being an outspoken conservative. Well, one time I said, why don't you tell people you're a Christian? And he said, because I'd lose half my audience. And I thought that was very telling because Jesus wants us to everyone.
But is there a difference between?
And I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. It is the power of God unto salvation to everyone who believes. Yes, go ahead.
I've always said there's a difference between strategize and compromise. I will never compromise my faith or what I believe, but I can be strategic. For example, this podcast is on live and YouTube, two places that hate my people and will throttle our people and will dump us and get rid of us and whatever because of our faith as a Christian, as a conservative.
Did you see
So I
put
don't
my-
do things and I don't say things
Mhm.
that I know are going to get me kicked off because it would be stupid because people get to
Right.
watch me and want to see me. Now, that's not a compromise.
Mm.
I don't say things that will harm me. Why? I want as many people to see me as they can. Why? So then they'll come see me live. Why? So that I can say whatever I want. Sometimes you have to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove.
Yes.
If we're supposed to speak Jesus' name
So-
everywhere, then does that mean the North Koreans should be telling everybody they're Christians when they
Right.
know they're about to be slaughtered? Or
Right.
do they keep it to themselves, including to their own children
Right.
who will turn them in? I think what they're trying to say is maybe, and I asked a guy from Nigeria once, pastor, I said, I hear about my people being slaughtered by Muslims in Somalia and Nigeria and places like that. And I always pray for the persecuted church. And I said, don't these guys defend themselves?
Yeah.
I mean, can't they? He said, well, first off, the government doesn't let them arm themselves.
Mm.
I said, well, but if they could, wouldn't it be Christian to not go attack them, but to defend yours?
Right.
And he goes, I would let the Holy Spirit tell me what to do. I said, but if you could defend yourself from them,
Yeah.
what would you say? I'd let the Holy Spirit tell me. Now, this is somebody who really has been at a place where they really kill you.
Mm.
And his take was, I'd let the Holy Spirit tell me. And in China,
Mm.
when they're persecuted, they say, thank you, Lord, for allowing me to share in your suffering. There's a different way to see our faith when you're in a position like that. And we don't understand it, and we might have to soon.
Yeah.
But my point to you is this. I'm not here to judge that you showed your butt in casual sex or whatever. I was curious about how you tried to understand how to do it.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm a Christian. It mattered to you. You were trying to figure it out. Suddenly you got over your head, and you maybe, in retrospect, you go, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But the point is, Victoria, we're sinners.
Well,
And we're forgiven.
I like
And we're
to
given grace.
We're all struggling with how to work out our
Yes.
salvation with fear and trembling. I love that verse. I get that verse. It's like with respect and with extreme respect for God, like working out, like I'm saved. Like, what does it look like to me to be a saved Victoria Jackson? Like what yeah. But I didn't tell you my Sean Connery
Go ahead.
story, because it's a good example of.
She.
So Sidney Lumet, very famous, auditioned me. I'm on it. SNL. I got a great audition all of a sudden. And I'm playing in the movie with Sean Connery, Dustin Hoffman, and Matthew Broderick. And I'm Matthew Broderick's girlfriend. The reason he cast me was because it was against type. My little monologue was, I'm at a dinner table with Sean and Dustin and Sean Connery goes, so what do you do? Wait, how's he talking? So what do you do?
That's pretty good.
And I go, well, me and my girlfriend, we go to Sloan Kettering and find out which patients are going to die soon, and we snap up their apartment. I didn't know what I was talking about. It was something about I see who's dying of cancer. I get their apartment, I resell it, make a profit.
You just made that up?
No, that was my line.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were telling me that's what he was asking. You were just improvising.
No,
Here's
no.
what I do on the
No,
side.
no, these are the. See what a good actor I
You're
am.
very good.
But he cast me because I don't look like the type who'd be like, "Ooh, let's get those cancer
It's not like
people."
deadly.
Like you would think of a woman like that would be like conniving.
Makes it even
and-
more like, oh, I would never expect it from her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm playing a conniving
Yeah.
person who doesn't care about people with
Yeah.
cancer. So Sean Connery's line is, "Where'd you find this effing parasite?" That was Sean Connery's line. The irony of it is he's a thief. His son's a thief, and they're all thieves and they're immoral, and he's judging me.
Yeah.
He's a con artist.
Yeah.
That's the irony of the scene. So Sean Connery goes to Matthew, "Where'd you find this effing parasite?" And then my line was, "Effing parasite, never say bad words."
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't say it. Like, I started cussing when I was 50 at my husband only,
Okay.
because my anger would reach a point I couldn't contain it. And I have screamed the F word at him, and it's a sin. But I don't use bad language. So I said in front of everyone, Sydney, is it okay if I don't say the F word, but I just say parasite? And what? And all the actors are there. And I said, because like I'm a Baptist, I don't use bad words. And I mean, it would be just as funny. And so everyone's like, oh. So I go, parasite. And so we take a break. We're all going home. Sean Connery comes up to me and goes, "So, you're a Baptist." And and see, how can you tell if he's coming on to me? You can't tell. That's just a cute little thing.
Yeah.
And I go, and I realized I was in a mini skirt. Well, about to here. Because I'm thinking, is he judging me? Because I'm in a pair, and I'm in a mini skirt, and I'm playing Lulu, or whatever I was playing. We get in the car, and somebody's driving us both home. So then, a week later, I get a call. My husband's fire eater comes into the bedroom. I'm playing with my baby. And he goes, "It's Sean Connery." I go, "What?" "What?"
Like, am I fired?
No, like,
Oh.
I can't talk to
Yeah.
you know. And I didn't give him my phone number.
Okay.
I mean, there was no, he
Yeah.
didn't say, "Do you want to have an affair or anything?"
Right.
I don't even know. So I go, "Hello?" And he goes, "Sean Connery. I was just wondering, what's your schedule like?" I remember he said schedule.
Schedule, yeah.
And I go, "Oh, we're very good in the dailies." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. Big movie star
Yes.
telling young
Yes.
ingenue." So then he goes, I go, "Well, on Monday we have, we meet with the host. On Tuesday is writer's night, and Wednesday we read through, and then Thursday blocking, Friday blocking, Saturday we have a live dress rehearsal, and then we have a live show, and then Sunday we're off." And he goes, "Well, I was going to the Bahamas." And I'm like, "Oh, I used to live in Miami. I grew up there. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'll call you when I get back." So we hang up, and I go to my husband. I tell him the whole conversation. I'm like, I mean, if you read into it,
He wanted you to go to the Bahamas with him.
I don't know.
Of course he did. Yes, he did, because
And
he's Sean
I'm married,
Connery.
and my-
Well, it's Hollywood. There's no rules.
But I didn't grow up in that world.
No,
so
you
it
grew
was
up in a-
very
in a-
weird. Then a week later, he calls again. My husband comes in. "It's Sean Connery." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, I have to think of something to say. "Hello?" "Oh, Sean Connery. I'm back." "Oh, how was the Bahamas?" "Good. I didn't know what to say. We have a scene on Tuesday, I think, in Central Park, don't we?" And he's like, "Oh, yes. I'll see you then." Something like that, right? So I look at my husband. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, so then we're in Central Park. It's freezing cold, and there's him and his fake girlfriend, and then me and Matthew Broderick, freezing cold, and the wardrobe department takes our coats off because we're supposed to pretend it's spring, and they walk away and go, "Action, line, cut." They put our coats back on, and we're all like this. And Sean Connery whispers in my ear, "We'll have a secret place."
Secret place.
How do you respond? So I go, "I'm married." And then I think we had to do the scene again. And then we were leaving. One of the actresses, I won't mention any names, she comes up to me. She's like, and she goes, oh my goodness, Sean Connery just asked me to take a shower with him." And I go, "You have a boyfriend." And she's like, kind of bragging about her younger boyfriend. She goes, "But it's Sean Connery."
Right.
And I go, so that's my glimpse into that world.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gave me the full show because I guess I didn't go into the full show.
I just want you to remember, A, you've done incredible things. B, I don't know that you've been respected as much as you should for the things you've done, because you do it really well. You do.
Thank
You've
you.
got your angle of what you do with your very specific style is very funny and very attractive and appealing. And I think it is beautiful to think that what we've discovered is it comes from your faith, your innocence that is so attractive to folks is real. And that can't be fake.
Because of Jesus.
Of course. I think that you should be grateful for the amazing career you've had. You've had struggles like we all have. God has gotten you through it. He's got a lot of adventures left for you and a lot of healing left for you to give to others through what he's allowed you to endure. Don't waste the pain. He gives it to us on purpose.
Good segue.
Yeah. Show it.
The pain of my marriage struggles, which I'm still married and we're still struggling. Praise the Lord.
Pray for her.
Yes. My prayer group, they're praying for me. And I said, if I get one more prayer over me, I'm going to explode. The cops are going to come to the house and see my guts and my brains all over the floor. And they're going to go, "Don't see a gunshot wound." No gunshot. And then they're going to go, "She was prayed to death. Happens all the time here in the Bible Belt. These over 50
Oh, we've seen this.
prayer groups. Yeah, that's my little joke. Anyway, since I've been living in Nashville for 13 years, of course I have to be a singer because it's Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I already was anyway. 15 new songs since I've lived here. A lot of them are takes on my marriage, like
And how do they get all this stuff?
my website, victoriajackson.com.
Okay. Life is quick, and God wins every time, and we're just passing through. And
Very
we thought
quick.
this is where the action was, and this was just to get us to the end.
Oh, I got to plug my daughter.
Oh, please.
My daughter, Scarlett Hiltebidel. This is her 5th book
Okay.
called The Worst Person in the World.
Mm.
She's a writer speaker for Lifeway, and she's doing great. And basically it's saying, I am the worst. We, not a mommy dearest, but that we are, Romans 3:23, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We're all sinners, and we need Jesus. And she tells funny stories, but weaves gospel through it. And I'm very proud of my 2 daughters. They love Jesus and are happily married and having babies. And
That's great.
I'm so blessed. If I have one word for anyone, it's
Yeah.
Jesus is God.
Tell them that. Tell them to your camera.
Jesus is God. Jesus is real. Life is short. Only what's done for Christ will last. That's my 2 cents.
Well, it's better than 30 pieces of silver.
That's good. That's good.
Folks, I got to say this for all my subscribers of the Militia of the Mind and the Mighty 10,000. I'm going to have one last question for her that will go only to those who subscribe, and we will have Victoria on again because she's an authentic child of God. She is bold, unapologetic, and she has stood in front of many of the most influential folks on earth and never denied what she believed. And it's cost her greatly, and she doesn't care because she's in this for the long haul, which is what actually matters. And that is that Jesus is God, and that her commitment to him is real and authentic, and I hope it inspires all of you. But I do want to mention one person you got to be with, Steve Martin. Oh, my goodness. So this is only going to be to my people. I want you to quickly tell us, what was it like, and did you have any little stories about Steve Martin? And only the subscribers are going to see this. Go ahead. Hey, guys, I'm interrupting my own interview. If you want the answer that you haven't heard yet, go to bradstine.com and join one of the 3 tiers. It is the Militia of the Mind, it is the Warrior level, or it is the Special Forces. And then you'll get all kinds of special content and bonus answers to make you smarter than you could ever imagine. Go there now, jump on, and join the Mighty 10,000. You have been committed to your faith, and you have done that without apologetics. And that's a big deal. And I'm grateful for it. It gives me strength and courage to watch somebody be that bold and that strong.
Same to me with you.
Well, there we go. So that's what we're supposed to do. We're just a couple beggars trying to show the rest of the people where the bread is. But we're on a journey, folks, and that's what Brad Stine Has Issues is all about. We're trying to talk to everybody of every ilk, from believers to non-believers, but all truth is God's truth, and if God's talking about it, he'll use whoever he needs, whether it's a Jordan Peterson
Or a rock.
or a rock. But whatever God needs to use, he will use, because he is the authority. And in the end, folks, believe in Jesus. It will get you where you need to go. Find you your balance and let you see the world clearly, because it is, in fact, the only truth that will ever matter in your life. Remember, if they ever say you're politically incorrect, always say thank you for the compliment, because PC-free is liberty. And remember, folks, I am God's comic, but I'm just doing what I always do. I'm putting the woke back to sleep. See you next Monday.
That's good.
Isn't it? I want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on the podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you will find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.